4,401. I'm GVizzle. This is Tempest. Like and subscribe.
Yeah, like, subscribe, follow, check out our Twitter, which we don't really use.
We have a Twitter? Oh, we do have a Twitter.
Yeah. All it is just like, oh, this episode's out. Watch this clip, which I think Twitter is now censoring those things because Elon Musk is weird in what he chooses to do.
Elon Musk is like a 14-year-old boy with his very peculiar. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We have no idea what we're here to talk about today.
This is one of our ad hoc ones.
It is. You know? I did a 5-minute makeup face, and it's the first time I feel like I don't look like a Muppet.
You've looked fine. Like, maybe it's the balancing on your screen.
It could be. It very well could be. But I do, you know what? I realize, like, I do enjoy wearing makeup. What I don't enjoy is having to clean my brushes. I think that's why I don't wear makeup more often. Brush cleaning's a pain in the arse. Just another bit of male privilege. You don't have to do anything.
Well, I do, though, to some extent. Like, working in this new industry in podcasting, being autistic, I really don't care about my appearance. You may or may not have noticed that about me, GVizzle. But I really don't care what I look like. In fact, it's not even that I don't care. It's that it's not in my mind. Like, I just don't think about it. The only time I think about my appearance is court appearances, job interviews, and work.
Honestly, when it comes to TikTok, I like my big beauty check before recording a TikTok is just to make sure I don't have anything in my teeth or my nose. But
yeah,
that's it.
That's it.
But you know, for the podcast, that's an hour. People need to look at this visage for an hour. They may as well.
Yeah.
Not see my dark spots and bags under my eyes.
We don't know how
I'm doing it for you, dear viewers. Doing it for you.
And 95% of our viewers are actually listeners, you know.
Yeah. And it's not like there's a lot to see, right? Like, you're terribly lit.
Yeah. I've got this transparent.
Half the time you're like Wilson because we can't see your chin because you sit too close. Like, there's nothing to see here, folks.
Because the room's too small. Actually, I can't physically sit back any further.
You're gonna have to get a gravity chair and put your like computer on the ceiling so you've got some distance.
Yeah. You haven't got anything funny on your mug today. Usually you got something like "I'm a cunt, live with it" or something on your mug.
Actually, the mug I always use says "Be happy." It drives people crazy.
Yeah,
which I'm sure could be translated to "I'm a cunt." Go deal with it. But this one says "I'd rather be in bed," but it's got a chip on that side. Sir.
Sorry, I was just distracted.
Oi. Would you rather find your true love or a suitcase with $5 million inside?
Well, the $5 million, I've already found my true love, so I know what that's like. $5 million would be way fucking better than this. I'm joking.
Is this what true love is? This is bullshit. I'll take $50 in a pack of Chiclets. Thank you. You got a bus ticket that's expired? That's fine. I'll take that too.
Yeah. Oh, I need oxygen. Oh.
I would also take $5 million, even if I hadn't already, like you, found my one and only fella. I would still take it.
I mean, because there's still potential there. Like, you're only going to find $5 million once,
right?
You know,
you can find true love. I mean, my own true love.
Well, and there's that saying, there's plenty more fish in the sea, yet no one ever says there's plenty more $5 million of money.
Suitcases.
Yeah, $5 million suitcases of monies lying around.
That's fair.
Yeah, so I think logic dictates that.
What would you do next, though? Because clearly somebody who lost a $5 million suitcase wouldn't just be like, whoops, Butterfingers, and then not go seek it out. So this could be like a shallow grave. If you haven't seen that movie, you should watch it scenario. Yeah. You would have to immediately leave the country.
Well, you might not have to. I think you just have to be clever about how you do it. Because if you think about it, you're probably more at threat from revenues, Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, or the tax office, or somebody like that, rather than, you know, like in the States, it'd be the IRS.
But you wouldn't report it if I found a $5 million suitcase. I wouldn't be calling like the Canadian Revenue Agency to be like, hey, guess what I got? No, I would stash that shit in my mattress.
Do you not remember all the lessons that they taught us in what was it called? That fucking awesome program, and it's just the Ozark. He taught us about tax and that, and like how you have to be so careful with how you spend your money, and that like
you can't go willy-nilly about it.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you live
start
like
walking
that,
around with a diamond encrusted tiara, but I could dole it out slowly.
Yeah, exactly. This is my point. Yeah, but
I could also like take it and go to a different country, so the person who found it isn't gonna. I would be more afraid of the person who lost it than I would be the tax man.
Well, the thing is though, like, you've got to remember though that life isn't a movie plot, and that we live in an open system, and they wouldn't be able to figure out who found it.
I think depending on where you are, like, are there CCTV cameras everywhere in the UK?
To an extent, yeah.
Okay, so somebody who has a $5 million suitcase would have the resources to track shit down.
I don't think so.
You don't think someone who lost $5 million wouldn't have resources available to them to find you?
It depends where it's lost, I guess. It's a good point that you're making. I'm still more scared of the tax man.
But even if you paid the taxes, like, I don't know what the tax rate is in the UK, but at 40%, I would have to give it up. So I'd still have.
But you'd have to show where you got the money from too. Like, it's not just a matter of like, if you just found $5 million, there'd be a lot of problems.
That's why I would avoid the tax man.
Yeah. And
you could do it. You could do it pretty easily.
I think it would be easier to avoid a drug dealer with nefarious intent than the tax man.
That's a ridiculous statement. They will murder you.
Yeah, then I'll be dead, it'd be fine, but a tax man could ruin your life. If you're dead, you're not going to care.
Not really. I think as long as you're not stupid, as long as you're not like buying cars and houses and whatnot, if you were responsible with it, you could just quietly live your life.
I have seen a TikTok creator who was getting a fair amount of money from their TikTok, and they admitted, and it's documented now live on the internet, that they don't pay their tax on their TikTok earnings. They are going to be fucked.
Yeah, that's stupid. That is stupid.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I just think I think it would depend on how you came by the money. And like, if you find it on a random beach in the middle of nowhere, then there's no CCTV around or anything like that. There's no image of you picking up the suitcase and walking off with it. I think you'd be fine. But I think if you found it in a high street where because these guys don't operate around where the CCTV and surveillance is. They try and avoid that because they've got nefarious intent. So I love that word.
Another episode where we're going to say nefarious intent 100 times.
Yes.
I would still take the money. Would you rather accidentally be responsible for the death of a child or accidentally be responsible for the deaths of 3 adults?
Accidentally responsible. This isn't a hard decision. I know look like I'm thinking about it for a long time. I'm just mainly thinking about the repercussions of what I'm about to say. But I think I'd rather be responsible for the 3 adults, because that should never be a question. Like, the kids are the ones with the full potential and all of the hopes and dreams and innocence, and they're not really responsible for being there, but the adults are.
We technically don't know how old, like, the adults could be 87. We don't know.
Exactly. Yeah,
they
what
had a good run.
Yeah.
Probably the adults.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, the kid has a future ahead of them. I believe the children are our future. I know, it's terrible. It's an embarrassingly bad singing voice. Would you rather live in a utopia as a normal person or in a dystopia, but you are the supreme ruler?
The dystopia is a supreme ruler, because utopias don't exist. It's just a different form of dystopia.
Oh my god, it's a hypothetical fucking question. In this instance, utopia exists. Christ.
No, because listen, right? This is a important thing, GVizzle.
Stop wagging your finger at me. from across the pond.
Have very long fingers. It can reach 2,000 miles, or however far it is. I don't actually know how far it is to Canada.
Stay on point. Stay on point. Focus. Focus.
You can tell I've had my painkillers, can't you?
So you think a utopia, even though in this question it's a utopia, you're saying utopia doesn't exist?
Philosophically, a utopia is only going to be actually utopic for the people that are targeted by that utopia, that is built for them. If you think about everything that is produced, everything that sustains the people in the utopia has to be produced by somebody. And so somebody has to be in the mines digging out the cobalt. Somebody has to be in the woods chopping down the trees. Somebody has to be building the infrastructure.
So you, as a normal person, would not be likely the one the utopia was built for, but you also wouldn't be the one in the coal mines, right? You would be a normal person in a utopia.
To me that implies I'm going to get fucked somehow, because it's just all right. I might not be doing the hard graft in the mines, which I'm not anyway right now, but there's going to be. Have you seen the film Battle Angel Alita?
No.
Well, that's fucked up, that example then. It's on Disney Plus if people want to go watch it. It's a good film. But I just think that if the idea of a normal person, to like, it probably depends on what you think is a normal person. And to me, that's somebody that's either in the working class or middle class. And typically utopias don't target those people. Utopias are like upper class people, and they get to live in like this nice little safe space where they're coddled and looked after, wrapped in cotton wool. But then you've got the Morlocks or whatever they're called living underground, and they're like the regular people.
But you would be neither of those. You would be neither extreme. You would just be living your bumbling life.
Yeah, fuck that. Like
Right.
I'd rather be, because if you think about it, so what I've been trying to describe is that a utopia is actually a dystopia. Like there's no such thing as a utopia. And if you're ruling in a dystopia, you're actually living in your utopia. So it's a utopia for you because you're at the top of the fucking chain. You've got
but you're
all the
making
resources.
it shit potentially for everybody else.
Because in the utopia, it is shit for everybody else. It's just good for the target audience, but it's shit for the vast majority of the population.
What
it's
if
just
you were the target audience of that utopia?
But I'm not, though, because I'm a regular person. The chances that utopia is going to be built for me are vanishingly small. It's built for people like Elon Musk and politicians and shit like that.
You're always half empty, eh?
I'm not even half empty. I'm 3/4 empty at the moment. It's unobtainable. Like I say, like if you got like, I mean, all of our
That's
phones.
why they're hypothetical questions.
Yeah, but right, like your mobile phone, right? Like, one of the reasons why I don't want to ever, like, even if I had the money, I wouldn't want to get the top of the range phone, because I just think of like all the Congolese people that are fucking mining in that just massive humanity there, like millions of them just digging out of cobalt so that you can have like the latest flashy object. It's so fucked. But so that's basically what the utopia dystopia thing is.
But they would be doing that for even your not so flashy phone.
Yeah, but it's
like unless you're still using a rotary phone and sending telegrams, you are contributing.
But that's kind of what I'm getting at, right? Is that like you need to engage with the system enough so that you can live yourself in it and succeed yourself. But there's a point where like the balance is tipped. So like if I didn't use my PC, if I didn't use my phone, I'd be living in a cardboard box, right? I wouldn't be able to make any money. So I have to engage with the system well enough to make myself successful, but not give into it enough that supports the system too much. And I think if more people were aware of that, then there'd be less problems. And the Congolese people get paid more.
Well, there you go.
Anyway, ask another hypothetical.
Sure, because that one went so well. Would you rather inherit $20 million when you turned 18 or spend the time earning $50 million through your hard work.
Oh, that's a good one, actually. What would you do?
$18 million when I turn, like $20 million when I turn 18. Hard work is for suckers.
Well, to some extent, though, it is, right? That, like, because life would be different if we all got like a certain amount of money. If we got an inheritance at the right time, you could really, but you'd have to. The reason why we think the way we do is because that didn't happen to us, right?
But I also, and possibly, but I also think like it's like when I see these like mega millions lotteries in the United States that are like $300-400 million that go to one person. That is a fucking absurd. Like spread that shit around. No one person or family needs $50 million. So you don't even need $20 million like that.
Yeah.
Like even like the lotteries in Canada never get to that point. I think we've had it up to like $70 million. And it was like, holy shit, if I was to win that, I would rather win it with like a bunch of other people. So we all walk away with $1 million or $2. Because who the fuck needs $70 million? So that, whether it's 20 or 50, I'm never going to spend that in my lifetime. I don't have children to leave it behind to. Whatever good works I want to do with that money or whatever. If I was to leave that to charitable organizations after I go, I think they would be just as happy.
Yeah.
Getting a big influx of millions, regardless of whatever they are. So,
I think I would even give it to charities. What I would do is I'd set up my own schemes that have very strict criteria that make sure it goes to like, single parents that need child support and all that, and like really make it meaningful. Or if I won fucking £300 million, you could give 150 people £2 million each.
Well, in the US, they are taxed out the ass. So you'd probably only walk away with 150 million only.
Yeah.
But it's true. Like you could make a ton of people. Like even if you were like even giving it like $500,000 to people is life changing.
Yeah, definitely.
So you could make a tremendous amount of good.
Like you could invest in some like housing that is low cost but is livable and is decent, and just let people live there rent free or give it to their families.
It's so disappointing. Like I see in Canada now, like there was a whole all the housing developments that go up are these massive houses on tiny little properties. So it's all house, and then they're costing an exorbitant amount of money. And I think a couple of years ago, a bunch of people bought into this new development, and now because the interest rates have changed, they can no longer afford the homes that they had purchased because they over leveraged themselves. But like there's a fundamental lack of affordable housing, and they keep building these like multi-million-dollar monstrosities instead of just taking that same property, building a 1,200-1,400 square foot reasonable home on those and making them affordable for people to purchase. Instead, they are forcing like generations of families to all live in the same home because it's the only way that they can afford it, or they remain empty because no one can buy them.
Yeah, I had a few thoughts about that.
Are you looking for fun new glasses that won't break the bank? Go to zlul.com. They have daily flash sales. You can find frames as low as $2. Prescription, non-prescription, sunglasses, they have it all. Use my promo code to save.
Also, I've been to Canada a couple of times, and then I found it quite interesting as a visit because the second time I went, I was visiting quite well-off middle-class people who had very big homes. They were in Alberta and Saskatchewan, so they owned farms, and they were building up quite nice lives for themselves. And so they had lots of land and everything that they could build on. And when I was like sort of being shown around, and then also combined with my first visit to Canada when I was in Ontario, and my friend there took me to so when I was in Ontario the first time, and then my friend took me, like, drove through a reservation just to show me what it's like and how they live. And like it's such a stark contrast between the quality of the housing and the way that it's presented to you compared to how the people were living in, like, the farm owners in Saskatchewan and the wealthy people in Alberta.
There's even like even just parts of different cities that like as soon as it's almost like, have you ever seen the movie Judgment Night?
No.
Way back when. So it's a decently bad movie. But anyway, so there's like places that you go, it's almost like as soon as you cross the street, everything changes. Like there's one street in particular that has these like mega $1 million houses, and then like you drive under a bridge and then the houses are tiny, they're dilapidated, like you can tell that they haven't been cared for, they're falling apart, and it's like the same street. Like it's just one street that has made these like stark changes. And it happens when they try to like, I forget what the word is.
Oh, gentrify.
Thank you. And they like, then they price all those people who were living there out of those spaces, and they don't give them anywhere else to go. And like, especially now, and this could be just this idealistic pie in the sky thought process, but there are so many buildings now in and around different parts of the country that are vacant because those companies that were there will have decided like, okay, fuck it, everybody's gonna work from home. Like, I know the infrastructure isn't there to make them houses, but if there was an investment into those spaces, like you could turn that into some livable, affordable places for people so that you can get them off the street.
Yeah, easily. Very easily could be done. And I found that the attitude was so interesting going from what you're saying here compared to some of the other people I was speaking to, where they were oblivious to that other side of life. That they were saying, oh yeah, no, we didn't, when in the 2008 recession, they were like, oh no, Canada didn't really experience it. You can see there's a lot of housing developments going up. We all earn quite a lot of money and everything, like our economy is pretty strong.
No, we got spanked. Like I was working at a financial advisor firm at the time, and I was training financial advisors, and everybody they called were like, "You're out of your fucking mind! Like we're not going to invest now." Which, just for those of you who need investment advice, that was the perfect time to invest if you had the money to do so. Because if you were to walk into Walmart and your favorite toilet paper was on sale for 50% off, you wouldn't be like, "Oh, there's something fundamentally wrong with this toilet paper." You would just snatch up as much toilet paper would fit into your car. So when a market crashes in that instance, it's the perfect time to invest because it always rebounds. It could take 3, 5, 7 years, whatever, but it is going to rebound. And then you're buying those same good companies for less money. Thank you. The end.
Yeah. You just got to hope that the companies you've invested in actually survive, and then you can get a return on your investment.
But some of them were like, there was like major financial companies and insurance companies and other stuff that people stopped investing in. And it was like, it's still an excellent company, and it is still earning these profits. It doesn't change because, I mean, if they have a change of leadership, that changes things, but just the market. But yeah, no, the average, I think, loss in Canadian portfolios was about 30% during the 2008 crash.
Wow, that's quite a lot. And I'm shit at economics, and I can still understand that that's a lot.
But not in the 80s, like in the early to mid 80s when interest rates skyrocketed, people were walking into banks and like putting their house keys on the counter to be like, I cannot afford this. This is yours now. Because when their mortgages refinanced, they were priced out of their home.
Yeah. And I think that's what struck me was that divide. I mean, 'cause it was easier seeing it in another culture that I'm not part of. So it's easier for me to be objective and see that difference in your culture. And I'm quite blind to certain aspects of my own culture, basically. That it was quite interesting to see how the people who are more in tune with the struggle of different people for different reasons in different levels of society, and how some other people who are quite well off, who have worked hard for their money, don't get me wrong, but they become blind to the struggles of poorer people. Yeah. It surprises you sometimes.
Have you ever seen those videos where they were asking like wealthy people what they thought things cost? And they asked this guy like how much he thought a banana was, and he was like, I don't know, $7. And it's like,
Jesus Christ.
Like there was just no concept of what things cost because they just never had to worry about it.
Yeah. I have I had a funny conversation with somebody about that, and like somebody was saying to me that like, oh, you're just really academic, you don't really exist in the world. And I was like,
what?
Yeah, I was like, no, that's because I'm autistic. Because they were saying to me like, well, you don't even know how much a pint of milk costs. And I was like, that's because I just don't remember. I was like, I have a food budget, and then I buy as much as I can, and I make my decisions within that budget. But I don't remember individual costs because I'm autistic and my brain doesn't work like that. That doesn't
I don't
mean...
remember individual costs either because, I mean, if I need a certain thing, I'm going to buy it regardless. Like there are some things that there are some things that have like skyrocketed so much that I'm like,
and it's surprising.
Perhaps we don't need cheese this week because like cheese has gone crazy. But just because I don't remember how much something costs doesn't mean I don't pay attention to the cost when I'm in the store. When I'm making those purchases, I pay attention and I price match and I see like what's the difference between these two items.
Yeah,
but
you just don't log it.
Sitting here, I don't know what the fuck milk costs.
Yeah.
And I only retain
the important stuff.
Not even the important stuff. I retain song lyrics.
Yeah, the important stuff. That's important.
I retained song lyrics and my dogs the last time they had their anal glands expressed. That's all it's rattling around.
I don't remember the last time I got my anal glands expressed. I need to get it done again. But the last few years, what we found is quite a nice money saving thing. Is obviously because there's only two of us, we don't need to buy a big turkey. Is we buy guinea fowl for Christmas. So
we just go to other people's houses and let them spend the money on turkey.
That's a good idea.
Right.
But but I don't really have any
and
time
our
to do
grocery
that.
store some years will, like, if you spend over a certain amount on your shop, they will give you free stuff sometimes. And so like I've got blankets, I've gotten lasagna dishes, and then occasionally at Christmas there's like, here's a big turkey. I'm like, we're two people, I'm never gonna make a turkey, so I just give it to whoever's behind me in line.
That's a weird thing. Like, what is that, like a paying it forward thing or something? Or
with the grocery store, I think it's just a way to try to get you to spend more money in store.
Oh, okay.
Because then like there's times where they're like, oh, you're only a few dollars away, do you want to buy more stuff? And then I'm like, oh, I guess we'll need lighters, right? Like, so they just try to get there. But I do try to time it. If I see one of those, that I will like, okay, I'll stock up on the high ticket items. Like toilet paper is expensive, so I will buy toilet paper because I'm never gonna stop shitting. So
you might.
But often a lot of the things I just like, fortunately, I've been fortunate enough that the people behind me are people that could use it. Like there was one back to school one where they were giving out like 2 loaves of bread, a big thing of cheese, and like a big pack of like cold cuts for back to school sandwiches. We're not going to eat that. But like behind me was this woman with like 3 kids in tow, and I was like, perfect.
Yeah, they can have it.
You take this, feed your children for school lunches.
Well, talking about offers in grocery stores, right? I was in a co-op the other day, and I bought a sandwich and I bought a drink. Okay, and then the guy in behind the counter goes, "Oh well, you know, you can get a meal deal, and you can just get a bag of crisps, and it'd be like 10p cheaper." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't want any crisps though. I just want to pay for these." And he goes like, "No, but why not?
They're free."
Yeah, they're free. And I was like, "I don't want to eat them. I don't want them." And then we had to have this fucking discussion for 2 minutes about how I don't want these crisps. I'm like, because I'm fat and I don't want to get fatter. Just fucking leave me alone.
Would your partner have enjoyed the crisps?
Probably not. She's not a big like the crisps that are on offer. Like she doesn't really eat those ones. So.
Oh, see, I would have taken it because it was free. I'm a sucker for free shit.
I was also just in a bit of a grump because I just walked an hour over a few hills and I was tired and I just wanted to take my drink, eat my sandwich, and fuck off back home.
I would have taken the crisps. Would you rather be transported permanently 500 years into the future or 500 years into the past?
Oh, the future. The past is shit.
I don't know if the future is going to be any better, my guy.
Historically, it progressively gets better. You just want to land at the right point when it's getting better and not in a dip.
But you don't know that. You will land in you'll wake up, blip, it's 25-23.
Yeah, if it's a choice, either you're not staying where you are. You're either going back or going forward. I'm going forward because we know for sure how bad the last 500 years were.
1523 we would go back to.
Yeah. Should we see if anything
What
happened?
What if that was a good time in history? Like if you knew you were going back to a decent time in history versus the unknown of the future.
Well, if you remember from previous episodes, I have hypothesized that all of the deep-rooted misogyny and inequalities we have in our society today started coming up in the 1500s. So
and look where we are now. It's not any better. In November 30th, 1523, Amsterdam bans the Assembly of Heretics. So I'm going to the future.
On February the 4th, 1523, Thomas Ruthal died, who was the English Chancellor of the University of Cambridge. This isn't coming out of my brain. This is coming out of Wikipedia.
Yes. Same Z.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think the 1500s weren't notoriously good. I know I have the teeth for the 1500s, but that's about all I have in common with it.
Oh, yeah, nice. I would be permanently to 25-23. I'm 48 years old, so even if 25-23 isn't great, I probably only have 20-30 more years on this before I shuffle off this mortal coil. So I wouldn't have to like live out the rest of my days. And that could be a time where like things have changed, and
you could become
I would be
immortal.
very curious. We can learn about the past, but we will not be able to learn about the future. We'd have to experience it. So I would go to the future.
Exactly. See, glass
Would
half
you
full
rather?
this time. Sorry, hang on. My glass was more than half full then. I was actually positive for a change.
Not really.
Yeah.
I just wanted to avoid the misery of the past by taking a chance on the future.
That's positive. That's a good thing.
You bought a lottery ticket instead of picking up a $5 bill on the ground. That's what happened. Because you know where that $5 bill's been. Would you rather live in a haunted house where the ghosts ignore you and do their own thing, or be a ghost in a house living out a pleasant and or be a ghost in a house living out a pleasant and uneventful week from your life again and again?
Oh, the first one. The second one sounds like hell.
But it's a pleasant but uneventful week.
It's forever. It's forever.
Forever, ever, forever, ever.
Yeah, exactly.
A little surprise outcast. Who knew?
Yeah. See, I understood that reference.
Fucking finally. I don't know. Living out. I mean, eventually it would stop being a pleasant week.
Exactly.
If Groundhog Day, the movie, has taught us anything.
And it might take 50 or 70 years. I mean, how long was he in Groundhog Day? Didn't somebody work it out?
I think they worked it out to be about 10 years.
Yeah. Fuck. Jesus. 3,650 days.
But, like, you're living in a house with ghosts that ignore you and leave you alone. So, like,
yeah.
What's the problem?
Exactly.
That could be happening right now. I don't know.
Exactly. We don't know what we don't know. It's like, well, Wi-Fi, it's sort of going all around us and you're not aware of it.
Maybe that's what Gozer and Zool bark at all day.
It's the Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi ghosts.
No, it's the ghosts. It's the ghosts.
It's the Thetans, the body Thetans.
Ah, surprise Scientology as well. Full of surprises today. Would you rather always... Because why?
Oh, no, I was just saying it's because I watched some Scientology this morning and then we spoke about it in the episode we uploaded last.
Oh, it's on the brain.
Yeah.
Would you rather always be able to see 5 minutes into the future or always be able to see 100 years into the future?
100 years. Yeah. 100 years into the future. What about you?
Hey, 5 minutes can be handy.
But then you'd know when you're about to die.
But 100 years in the future, you'd know when you died. So then you'd know when you're about to die.
Oh, I was thinking in terms of, I took it as, okay, so I get the power now. And so I can see 21-23. And that, I don't know what happens in between. I can only see 21-23 going forward.
Yes. But if you saw 21-23 and in that vision you visited your gravesite, you would see, here lies Tempest psychology. That cunt died on this date.
You're assuming that someone cared enough to give me a grave.
I'm donating my body to science/medicine, and I don't care what happens to it.
Yeah, I have a plan. I'm going to donate some important things, that whatever's relevant at the time, but the majority of my body I want to be buried in like a forest under a sapling, and then the tree will eat me, and then it'll become a tree.
That's a natural. Yeah, they have that now in some places.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's like they bury you in like the equivalent of like a burlap sack.
Yeah.
So that you can. That's quite lovely.
Cremation horrifies me.
Why?
Because it just reduces you to carbon, which is like carbon just it doesn't do anything. And like if you think about all of the atoms in your body, like the atoms in your body were created in a star, right? That's what we're made of. That's how we came to be. And if you cremate yourself, you just ended that cycle until for another several billion years. But if you find a way of recycling those molecules, all that stuff, basically like the energy stored in your body, not mystical energy, I mean literal, energy that you get from eating things. Like, and then, you feed other animals and you feed wildlife, like plants and things, then that's all that's going to continue. There's two things humans are made of, really, is memories and molecules. And then the molecules are going to last longer than memories of you. So
that's true. What they say that you experience two deaths, like the first one is when you actually stop, your heart stops beating, and the second is when the last person who knows you says your name.
Yeah, or even just considers you. Just thinks about.
But I do like that idea, because also like the amount of real estate taken up by cemeteries is absurd.
Yeah.
It is crazy ass. And cremation, I don't know if it's legal in a lot of places to like scatter ashes. So then you're forcing someone to like carry one of these of you everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a lot of pressure to put on someone. And I wouldn't want to force someone to come like visit a cemetery or feel guilty for not visiting a cemetery. Like that just seems so ick. Yeah. I like the idea of donating, take whatever parts you need to put into other people that are viable, and whatever else, like if you want plastic surgeons to practice rhinoplasties on me, go ahead. You want to shoot me out of a cannon to see what happens, or shoot explosives at me to see what happens when they hit flesh, go nuts. I don't care. I'm dead. I don't care what happens. But there's a lot of people who renege on their loved ones' wishes to donate their bodies to science once they find out what is going to be actually happening. Because everybody wants their family member to cure cancer, but that's not going to happen. Like,
no. It goes to general science.
So that I have no qualms.
No, so I think because I'm not sure. I don't think a few of my organs aren't going to be useful. Basically, by the time I die,
I'm pretty sure my liver is not going to help anybody.
Yeah, I think my liver and kidneys and my heart are going to be shit. So, and my brain. But I think that I'm all right with them doing certain things, but like I want like the husk of the body, like so they could take the organs basically in the eyes and the
whatever
brain.
Is left.
They could take the innards, but then the husk I want them to put in the ground.
Yeah, that makes sense, because then whatever's left, instead of becoming medical waste, can feed a forest.
Actually nourish something. Yeah. And also like this is something me and my partner are doing, is that like we're putting it into our wills as well, so that there's no fuckery, because I can't trust my family. So because they are there's a couple of family members who would do what you just said and renege on my wishes. So I'm putting it into a will that like something happens to me, then my partner has final say, because she's literally the only person that I can trust to do what I ask her to do.
Are wills read in enough time? Like, I don't know the timing.
It's a power of attorney thing, I think, rather than the will. I think I'm using the wrong words, but we have an agreement with, if something happens to me for whatever reason, obviously because of my health issues and my opiate addiction and my pain and stuff, that like we don't know what the future holds. And so she understands, like, if I get to a certain point, then it's just switch off the machines and just fucking let me die. And I don't trust anyone else to do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust my family to do it either, especially the like, I think even if I told them I wanted to be cremated, I think that would be a hard pill for some to swallow.
Yeah.
Because they're just very
set.
We have our thing. It's very set in the cabinets.
Yeah.
The dead filing cabinets. But yeah,
that's right. Yeah, to remember. Yeah, you have the mausoleum, don't you?
The mausoleums. Which is really weird because like when you go to a funeral and they do the interment, if it's in the ground, right? Like the casket is already there. And then it's just like a little hand crank that lowers it down. And then everybody walks away. You don't watch the ones I've been to anyway. You don't watch the dirt repacking on top of the cemetery. But when it's in the mausoleum, you watch the whole thing go down. So like you're watching these two guys in like dirty overalls lifting it up on a crank if it's there, shoving it into the wall, putting the thing on, cocking it around, putting the other thing. So you're watching them work, and then it's like, okay, I guess we should go. So it's kind of awkward. Yeah, it's a little bit weird.
That's so strange. I've only ever been to cremations and regular Christian burials.
I've never been to a cremation.
It's a bit weird. It's the other extreme. So in the middle, you've got like a normal burial. Then on the left, you've got the mausoleum, and on the right, you've got the cremation, which is it's there, and then there's some curtains, and then they play the song that the person's chosen, and then the curtains close, and everyone shuffles awkwardly and leaves the room.
That's all, folks.
Yeah. It's so fucking weird.
What would you want your song to be?
Honestly, I have no idea. I think it would be something just ridiculous, like "So What," the cover song Metallica did.
The Ministry song?
No, I don't know. Metallica did it. I don't know who did the original. And it's like, "So fucking what?" And then it's like, oh man, no, I'm gonna play it. It's so fucking.
I think if it's a cover called "So What," it might be a cover of a Ministry song.
It's by the Anti-Nowhere League.
Oh yeah, no, I can tell by the lyrics it wasn't Ministry. Fantastic song by Ministry, one of my favorites actually. I would want mine to be from a soundtrack. It would be from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy soundtrack, and it would be "So Long and Thanks for All the Fish."
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. I want to do something like that, something cheery.
Yeah, I don't want mine to be a depressing event. Like celebrate the life that I had, not mourn that you're not gonna get to see this looker anymore.
So that's the thing. Like, but my stepdad's always said that he doesn't like. He's never understood death, like in the way that I think people act like it afterwards. Like he's very much okay. You go through the bad bit when they've just died, and then you've got to bury them, have the funeral. But then afterwards, he's like, right, I've got to crack on with my life now. But when my mum's mum died, my grandmother, like part of the problem they had in their relationship was that he was like ready to crack on, but my mum was still traumatized, and they had relationship problems because of that.
There's a lot of expectations, I think, after someone passes away. And it's funny, my friends and I were talking about this a couple of days ago when we went to the Salt Cave. And it was like how everyone has their own idea of what an appropriate mourning period is, but you can't dictate how somebody else mourns, what that mourning should look like, when they're going to mourn, right? Everybody does it at their own time and their own pace, but then it's also very showy. Like after my dad passed away, my grandmother gave my mom a hard time for putting a wreath on the door because like, oh, your husband died. What will the neighbors think? They're going to think you're happy that he died. And it's like, the neighbors don't even know he's gone. Like the neighbors don't know who we are. My sister went to a garage sale across the street and they were like, oh, do you live in the neighborhood? It's like, I can see fucking windows. Like, I don't know. But it was very unlike my other grandmother, after my grandfather died. The rules for what we know of anyway, in our family, is if it's a parent or a sibling that passes away, you wear black for a year. If it's a spouse, it's black forever. And my grandmother wore navy blue and people ostracized her. And my mom, after my dad passed, was like, I'll do black for a year. She goes, I'll do that, but I'm not going to do it forever. But I won't wear red ever again because red is seen as like disrespectful.
Oh, really?
When my husband's stepfather passed away, I got a call that morning of the funeral, and he was like, don't wear black. We're celebrating his life. But he'd been sick. He's no longer in pain. He's no longer suffering. So we're going to celebrate the life that he had. Don't wear black. And I was like, I don't even know what that sentence means. So, but then when we got to the funeral, my mother-in-law was in not my mother-in-law at the time, now mother-in-law, was in a red suit, and the stepfather's mother was in a yellow suit. And when I told my mom, like, how it went, like, what it was like, she's like, red. So she never loved him. I was like, whoa.
Wow.
Not everyone feels about it the way we do. So yeah, it was a tough thing for her to come to terms with.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because one of the things that got me thinking about this a lot more was when I was a teenager, and like I just didn't understand why I had to celebrate my birthday. And I was saying to my mom, like, I don't want to celebrate it. I just don't care. Like, let's just not do anything. I just want to have a normal day. And then she was like, yeah, but we want to celebrate your birthday. And I was like, but it's my birthday and I don't want to celebrate it. So fuck the rest of you. And then, but then as I grew up and I was thinking about it a bit more, it kind of got me thinking about it, that there is like a bit of a trade-off there, isn't there? And like what you're saying with this funeral, that people kind of need to go through their own processes with all of these rituals and kind of experience it in their own way, but you have to kind of somehow negotiate it so that you give each other space to experience it in their own way.
Yeah, and it's everybody puts their own rules onto you, right? Like if we're for our family, we do this usually historically it's been like 3 days of viewings, and it'll be like a 2-hour chunk in the afternoon, a 2 or 3 hour chunk in the evening, where the close family is there every single session. And then like if someone sees you like chatting with somebody and smiling or laughing, it's like, no, don't express that. Like you can't possibly find a spark of joy in this dark time. Whereas in some instances, like I get if it's traumatic and it was an accident or a shock, but like when my dad passed away, he had brain cancer. We knew after his original surgery, like the doctors told us, like this is gonna kill him. Like it'll be back in 6 months, it'll be back in a year. No one with this has ever gone more than 5 years. So we all knew, and we all should have at that point started to prepare for the inevitability of it, because we knew it was coming in short order. So like for me, when it happened, it was sad, but it wasn't a surprise.
Yeah.
I was there, like, I think I had kind of like warned him before he was gone, so that when he was gone, I could be there for my mom, who like other people were still like shocked, like it was taken by surprise. And it's like, we knew this was going.
Yeah. And then it's kind of weird how other people outside of your nuclear family have all these opinions about it, about what you should be doing. And it's just, but like your focus is going to be on your mum because she's the one that's lost someone.
Yeah, like it hit her a lot harder, because at that point I hadn't lived in the same home with my dad for 20 years.
Yeah.
So I wasn't seeing him. I was seeing him once a week, and when I would see him, we would just kind of like chat for 5 minutes, and then I'd go hang out with my mom. So like we just didn't have that closeness of a relationship. But it was just, everyone expects you're gonna like throw yourself on the coffin.
Yeah, the old sort of Indian ritual where they would throw themselves on the pyre, the widow.
Well, they used to, hey, in 1523, did they still have professional mourners?
I had no idea. Was that a thing then? I know they still have it.
It was a thing
South
in history
Korea,
where they would hire people to like come and cry at your funeral.
Oh, well, if you can turn on the waterworks, you get some good money out of that.
Right? I mean, I don't know if I could actually turn on the waterworks, but if I had like a hat with like a veil on it, I could make the appropriate sound.
You could sob like
yeah, I can make the sounds. I can do it. I can fake it.
Oh, Left 4 Dead when they I was just thinking of Left 4 Dead with the
witch.
Yeah. And she would cry like that in the corner.
Yeah.
And then you'd be shitting yourselves. I used to like shooting it to piss my mates off.
Where is she?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. You disturbed her.
Yeah.
Mean.
Oh.
It's lunchtime.